Counter-Strike is the game that we all adore and hate, a game which changed the face of competitive play to the next level. On the surface, it floats on a simple concept, a two-sided game, but that is just a small piece of a jigsaw puzzle to something even bigger. But how did this simple idea lead to the rise of one of the greatest games and franchises? Well, let's find out. It all starts in 1999, a year after the release of Half-Life, a revolutionary game which changed the genre of first-person shooters forever, and to this day is regarded as one of the most immersive games ever. In the game Half-Life, there was a map editor, where players could create their own maps and play them, and through this editor, Counter-Strike as we know it was born. The game was originally developed by Min Lee and Jess Cleave, with the Gold Source engine, which was a heavily modified version of the Quake engine, and it is said that it took them an estimated 1.5 months to actually make and code the map. This led to the first beta of Counter-Strike to be made, which attracted a lot of attention in return. About the year 2000, when the 5th beta was released, Valve was hooked into the game and decided to hire Min Lee and Jess Cleave, at the same time buying the intellectual property of Counter-Strike and releasing the non-beta version in September 2000. The already big community of Counter-Strike became to significantly grow even bigger. The game was played around the world, Europe, America, you name it. The main reason behind this exponential growth of the game was because gamers at that time never seen this type of first-person shooter before. It was unique, it attracted anyone, mainly due to its simplicity. Anyone could just enter the game without prior knowledge or skill. This meant casual gamers and hardcore players were all welcome, giving it the quote, easy to learn, hard to master. That's not all, the game wasn't just simple but very unique. It introduced features like realistic gun recoil patterns, payment systems, multiple objectives, and even respawns. Due to this, it influenced the first-person shooter genre to change, to evolve. However, unlike other games, Counter-Strike relied on its community to stay alive. It was a community-driven game, where the ones who designed the maps and kept everyone entertained. Even to this day, all maps you see in the game are made by the community. For example, Dust 2 is one of the most popular maps ever created. Due to its popularity, the first Counter-Strike competitions were born. The local gatherings led to esports organizations, for example DreamHack. As it became even more popular, the size of these competitions also became bigger, rising the prize pools, creating esports teams and a new way to make a living out of, playing CS. Valve saw the huge success of Counter-Strike and saw the opportunity to do even more to the franchise. As technological advances were made by the year 2004, the long-awaited Counter-Strike Condition Zero was nearing release. After countless delays and incidents involving in the development of the game by March, it was finally released. The hype was big. However, this didn't last long and the game wasn't welcomed by the Counter-Strike fans, mainly because it was a minor upgrade to the original Counter-Strike and the single player was repetitive and badly designed. Here we arrive in November. 8 months after the failure of Counter-Strike Condition Zero, Half-Life 2 was released. Once again, the game was highly acclaimed and won over 40 Game Awards and lived up to the standards. This was also when the rightful sequel to Counter-Strike was also released to the world, but this time it was fully multiplayer and gained more support from its fans. But not all. Not all is the keyword here, as the CS community was split between two games, CSVAL and Counter-Strike. The old hardcore fans stayed with the original game while casuals or new players stayed with the source, as original CS was still very popular even in 2004, and players didn't want to learn new mechanics or deal with negatives with Source. However, even with this happening, Counter-Strike Source still surpassed the original Counter-Strike and became the new face of CS. It was at this time, the esports side of Counter-Strike started to grow even faster, becoming a new type of entertainment bringing in new profits, making a new era. An example would be the 2006 Intel Extreme Masters, which stood out amongst other organizations, making Counter-Strike a true international competitive esports. The IEM assembled the best teams around the world, bringing into a league where elite players could compete in a stage of their own, making IEM one of the most premier Counter-Strike competitions to this day. Years have passed after the success of Counter-Strike Source, and now the community is starting to realize how outdated the game has become, even after countless updates rolled out by Valve. The technology once again has improved and the ambition to make a bigger game was clear. Fast forward to 2010 and Valve has finally announced that the game we all know and love, Counter-Strike Global Offensive, was in development. It was 6 years since the last release and the fans were getting excited. 2 years later, CSGO was released and it had a turbo launch, with the hardcore fans once again sticking with Source or Counter-Strike. However, through the community feedback, Valve precisely knew what the fans wanted and produced a game which was true to its core, but at the same time fresh and modern. To this, Valve made minor changes to the game, improving it overall but not changing anything drastically, making the game true to its prequels but was made for the modern world, made for competitive gaming and esports. Even after 21 years since the original release of Counter-Strike, the game has grown into one of the most popular esports titles. With massive prize pools and a large viewership, it has influenced thousands of games and touched millions of gamers. So now that's the end of the video. So if you have enjoyed my video, please hit the big fat like button, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I hope you enjoyed my video. Comment down any other topics you would like me to do, or if you want, I can go into more in depth about a specific event of Counter-Strike, for example, CS Source, why it was bad, all that stuff. So hopefully you enjoyed it, see ya, and Merry Christmas.